You obviously know Kung Fu.
What's up, boys and clan? Jeff Vita here with the Kung Fu Driving Podcast. I got to attend a very cool press junket put on by the cast themselves of the Bruce Lee-inspired TV series, Warrior. Now, Warrior had recently been canceled by the streaming service Max, but was immediately picked up by Netflix and is set for release February 16th. Now, there are currently 3 seasons of the show, but Netflix has made it clear that they are open to the idea of giving it a 4th season, and maybe more if, and only if, the show finds an audience, which it should, because it's amazing. I'm going to let the cast speak to the things that make it so great. Now, in this junket, I moved between several groupings of cast members, so in this first one, I talked with Kieran Bew, Tom Weston Jones, and Hoon Lee.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you guys? Jeff Vita here, the Kung Fu Driving Podcast. Great to talk with all of you.
Nice to talk to you.
Awesome. I don't want to waste any of your time, but again, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat. But guys, Warrior is an amazing show. I've been with you guys since Max, and I'm looking forward to catching it all again on Netflix. For those of us who have followed you on Max, what has the reception been like? Have you heard from fans for the entire Max run?
Kieran, I think, is pretty ear to the ground on some of that. Kieran, do you want to speak?
Yeah,
to that?
we've heard from the fans have been amazing right from the get-go. We've had art, we've had trailers, we've had fan fiction sent to us. We're very, very lucky. We've got an incredible body of fans. Not just people who watch the show casually, but people like yourself who run podcasts as well, getting in touch with us and inviting us on and really wanting to sort of take care of the show and be part of it. And we're really grateful to them. I mean, particularly because when the show got cancelled, we want to thank them for bringing us back and giving us a season 3.
Mm-hmm.
What are the prospects right now for season 4? Have you guys been in at talks at all, or is it just kind of hoping that the run on Netflix gives you guys some momentum?
Well, the official word that we've heard is that Netflix is open to the idea.
Nice.
The metrics Netflix employs is, obviously pretty obfuscated. It's their algorithm, et cetera, is very much a black box. But what we have been told is that our best chances lie in fan reception and performance. So if enough people binge watch the entire season, end the season with double thumbs up, tell their friends, have them do the same, that door is open. And we know from our own history that there's no real final ending until the fat lady sings, so to speak. So we're hopeful that if the fans brought us back once, they might be able to bring us back for season 4. We're dying to make a season 4. This group is very, very close. We love each other. We love the show. And we'd love to bring more of the story forward.
Awesome. Let me ask you about that. How did you guys each individually get involved with the show from the beginning? And were you ever considered for another role in the show? Because it's hard for me now, having watched you guys on Max, to see you guys as anybody other than the characters you play, and you guys do it so well. So what was it like for you guys?
It was relatively simple, really. I remember just getting the sides like anything. I didn't do a tape, which was quite abnormal, I guess, but it was sort of run of the mill, and I didn't really get much of a picture of the season until after we made the pilot. Actually, I can't remember how many scripts did we have by the point we made the pilot. 0 or just the 1?
I had 4. I had at least 4. Didn't you have to pay to get on the show, Tom?
Don't do this, Kieran.
Give them money. Didn't you send?
I thought you
money?
were just very cheap, Tom. Wasn't that it?
I'm sure you sent money and nudes or something.
Didn't they just find you
Can't
on
do
their
that
bin
now.
of
It's
actors?
2024. Yeah, we had a bunch of
Please
scripts.
don't believe anything that he says.
I was fortunate enough to have worked with Jonathan on Banshee, so he was the creator of Banshee as well. And so I was very fortunate that at the end of that run, he had started work on this program, and he mentioned it to me, and mentioned that there was a role he was thinking of that I might be good for. And so, you don't put too much stock in it until things actually materialize, but I was very hopeful. And when the character came around, I couldn't have been happier. It was such a fun person to play. And unlike Banshee, I got to interact with almost everyone in the cast.
Yeah.
And so, meeting Tom and Kieran were, I think, my first 2 scene partners. And we became very close friends right very, very quickly. And that really, for me, began the experience of this sort of family interaction that is carried through for multiple years now.
Yeah. I think Hoon's got compromat on Jonathan Tropper because he's in every single show with Jonathan.
You can't prove that.
For the
You
rest of
can't
his
prove
life
that.
now.
There's
So
no proof.
I had an audition for the show, and I got a recall within a couple of days, which is a pretty quick turnaround. And it was just me and the same casting director in London, and the character was fairly it was very specifically drawn. I think I was about a foot too short, and I was about 10 years too young, I think, for the character. And so I immediately felt intimidated. So I immediately wanted to sort of grow a big beard and wear more clothes than I had in my wardrobe, and try and, flesh it out to get the job. I desperately wanted to play the part because I did get more scripts than you normally get. And what I'd been given was for me in season one as Bill, over the first like four, episodes, I had an incredible arc. Other people's arcs emerged a little bit later in the show. For me as Bill, right off the bat, I desperately want to play this part. So, yeah, when I got offered the job, I was absolutely thrilled. Yeah, it doesn't normally
By the
happen.
time the show's over, you'll finally be the right age.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's interesting. The way you talked about connecting with that character so quickly. The characters on this show are so rich, so deep, so complex. I feel like you could take any one character out of the Warrior universe and unfold their story, and it would be engrossing to follow them on their journey. So, when did you feel that your characters really kind of spoke to you and invited you to fully realize them on screen?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had that test right from the beginning, and I think there's because of the brilliant episode 5, which is when the guys go off on the Western. That the first arc that I had, it sort of finishes in episode 6 for Bill. This sort of crazy rite of passage. I like all the way through. I felt like I had gifts all the way through because, like Hoon's saying, he interacts with lots of different people. Bill does too, and Bill has so many different masks, and he's hiding his vices, and he's putting up at front, but he's actually a shell. So much detail in that. I was like. I felt like I won the lottery in many ways. And then to get to come to work and work with actors like, Tom and Hoon was pretty cool,
Well, like me, at least.
Well, I was trying to say something nice and then I just ran out of steam. So
That's okay. Tom's
they're
listening.
okay.
Workplace bullying is a theme, apparently. but to answer your question, I think genuinely I felt the most grounded and like I really grasped what the show was when I was when I had my hands in the corpse in the second episode and I was just covered in blood.
I didn't know that.
My character's not perturbed. There's this quippy back and forth going. I was like, this is fun. This is actually there's just so much to lean on. It feels very real, but at the same time, yeah, there's just a hell of a lot to hang your hat on, really.
I remember having a conversation with Jonathan early on in season 1 because, and this is the great benefit of feeling that you have an open channel of communication, which all of us do with the creators and the executive producers. Is he basically took me aside and said, "You're not quite getting it." Which is always disheartening to hear, but it means that you have something concrete to work on. And the reality is I've never, in any job I've ever had, I've never really felt like I've cracked the character. And I take that as a good sign. I feel like that means there's a lot there that's interesting to me that I can keep sort of following. But part of the reason why on a personal level, I'm so desperate to have a season 4 is I always hold out hope that I will crack the character in the next season, that something will emerge that allows me to sort of put them to rest with a great piece of heart and mind. But yeah, I don't think it's quite happened yet. But as long as the boss is happy, it's probably fine.
You're cracking. I think you're cracking, but
thank you. Thank you.
Just to add,
I'm glad you picked up on that cue. Thank you.
Just to add to what Hoon was saying as well, just to bring Jonathan up, like I've never worked on anything where the creative team behind it are also so open to just discussing everything in great detail with you. Not necessarily, what kind of plot twists would you like to see, but just the level of detail is unlike anything I've ever worked on before. And that all stems
And
from
even
John.
when Jonathan stepped away from showrunning day to day, and Evan and Josh and Brad Kane prior,
Yeah.
were more on the floor, so to speak, that was part of the culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the thing that makes the experience quite special for the cast.
Yeah, speaking of which, there isn't a show like Warrior on TV right now. It breaks down stereotypes. You got a lot of Asian cast members. It's topical without being preachy. When did you guys realize that the show could have an impact beyond just being great entertainment?
I think at the very beginning, when we knew the Bruce Lee connection, when we flew in and all of the our place settings, when we did our read through, had a pack from Shannon Lee, and we heard about the history of how the show was conceived. We realized, just by actually even getting to that stage, it was already having an impact by changing things. If it already felt big, and then of course, unfortunately, during the pandemic with the rise of violence, we realized the show was becoming freakishly relevant, and so even more important. And that was somewhat of an accident, really. We were looking at history, and then the world kind of caught up, and the show sort of synced, and it showed us that actually there's still a lot more art to be made and a lot more work to be done to improve things.
I don't know that we've fully felt the impact of it, but one thing I will say is that meeting the cast, meeting the team, and I'll call out Koji specifically. On the first big fight of episode 1, he was really at his physical limit. He had been working 12, 14 hours days for the entire shoot. He was being asked to do some incredibly demanding physical stuff. He had lost a tremendous amount of body fat for this character. And when I saw that he just never gave up, he just put his head down, recovered, went for the next take. I said, we've got a lead who's going to leave it all on the field. We've got a team that is able to listen to us and that we want to listen to. It may not mean we create a show that is a world beater, but it certainly gives us our best possible shot.
That's fantastic, guys. I mean, you do a wonderful job. It's amazing that you are now part of the Bruce Lee legacy. Here's to season 4, and I hope to see many more seasons from all of you. Thank you so much for your time.
I love the
Thank you,
t-shirt.
man.
New Year.
Thanks.
Hey.
In this next grouping, I had the pleasure of talking with the bad boys of the Hopway Tong, Chen Tang, Jason Tobin, and Andrew Koji.
Recording!
Hey, guys.
What's up, Jeff?
What's up, Jeff Vita, Kung Fu Driving Podcast. I've talked with Chen and Jason before. Andrew, nice to meet you guys. The big bad Hopways here in the house. So good to talk to you guys again.
Yeah, what's
We're
up?
the A team now.
What's up, Jeff?
What's up? All right, I don't want to take up too much time. So, Warrior, amazing show, special show, nothing like it on TV right now. When I'm trying to describe the show to new viewers, and I say it's something from Bruce Lee's notes, well, one of the immediate responses is, it's got to be a kung fu show, right? But Warrior is about as much of a kung fu show as like Game of Thrones is like about sword fighting, right? Which is to say it's not. What about Bruce's philosophy is represented in the show and appeals to you guys as actors, and ultimately is going to appeal to the audience?
Oh,
Jason, feel that.
yeah, go Jason.
Oh,
Jason.
wow.
Good question.
Well, I've been a Bruce Lee fan since I was a young kid. My dad started showing me Bruce Lee films to kind of give me this Asian male role model, for me. And I've been a huge fan all my life, but the single piece of philosophy that really has resonated and has guided me and that I've like held true throughout my career as an actor, aside from being a martial artist, is to honestly express yourself. And we talk about sometimes about being Asian, Asian American, or Asian in American TV, and sometimes you don't feel authentic at all. You're playing this stereotype. This show is all about expressing yourself honestly, being who you are. And I feel as an actor, like on this show, I literally get to express the very depths of my soul, and for that I'm so grateful. And I feel like that's what this show is about. Like all of a sudden you got Andrew Koji, you got Chen Tang and me just being ourselves. It's
We're
through
playing
the
character.
role, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
through the
we're
role.
playing characters. You know what I mean? Expressing ourselves as performers.
Yeah.
I mean.
But yeah, I'm just going to freeform think it's quite a big question. Bruce Lee, I think his DNA I think as Jonathan Chopper as well. But everyone was such a fan, and I think and I think he's such an icon that he kind of obviously has made such an impression of people over time, like an icon, like actual icon. I think that probably made the show, and everyone working on it, it gave it a different thing. Like I worked on a show before that, and since it had this kind of like, because he was such a great, amazing person, his philosophy, etc. And it made, and because of the story that it was telling, that it kind of made us go, we're telling this, it put all of our quote unquote egos aside. You like, it's like, this is the show, this is Bruce's show. The DNA is in his DNA is kind of everywhere in it, from down to the character movements, to little lines, to the blocking of little scenes. Like, if any Bruce Lee diehard fans will kind of notice that scattered throughout the whole season. And yeah, his philosophies and stuff there too. So, but I think also behind that, and the behind the scenes, like the production office had quotes of Bruce Lee everywhere, and I think that really helped form this real good collaborative, amazing atmosphere to work in. Yeah. So
Yeah, for me it was Under the Skies. We're all one family. There's one family, and that actually, for a show that deals so much with race and difference and discrimination, it actually kind of flows through that theme too, because what they really wanted to do was, without denying the reality of the time and the situation of the real life racism, and the conflicts there, it still shows people as just trying to do their best with what they had and trying to be human. And so it was a human story. And I think that's a huge reason why a lot of fans resonate to it, to the complexities and the gray areas, and how, even if quote unquote someone is a supposedly villain, Dylan Leary is a great example. You can't help but root for them, because you see why they do it. And because it comes from a real human place, because we're all just kind of human.
Yeah, the characters are so detailed and rich and complex and deep. I was telling the other guys that I could take any one of you out of that Warrior universe and want to follow your story, because that's how well you guys have been written and how well you guys have brought them to life on screen. And you mentioned that the show is topical. It touches on a lot of things that are relevant today without being preachy. Have you guys heard from fans that have followed you on Max already about the impact that the show may be having beyond just being really great entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really active on the socials, but I definitely, in real life, a lot of people, especially the Asian community, have been very vocal about how much that show means to them. From people who like martial artists, Bruce Lee diehard fans, to people who actually had their ancestors and stuff during that were there during Chinatown, San Francisco times. Like, so it's been all walks of life. Yeah, it's been very eye-opening how much it means to many people.
Yeah, I'd love to just share a quick little anecdote, a little story that really touched me. A friend, and he's the husband of a dear friend of mine, and he actually is a cop in San Francisco today. He's a police officer, and he and his partner are both Asian. And during some of the Chinatown riots and anti-Asian violence, he shared with me that Chinatown was actually being attacked, and there was a lot of people like wrecking businesses and whatnot. And he took his partner, and sort of against orders, he went to block off and blockade Chinatown. And he's a huge fan of the show. He shared this with me. It was so cool. He said, what we thought when we were there, we said, we have to protect our people. We have to protect this because nobody else would. And all we thought about was, we are here in that scene protecting Chinatown. When they were standing there, the two of them with their cop car in that barricade, they stood there. And he shared with me that, and I just thought that was like, wow, really, like that moved me.
That's cool. That's incredible. If I could, if I may, uh, uh, a lot of fans have also reached out to me, um, that have expressed this feeling of how it's brought their families together. Like I've heard several times from like father and sons, or daughters and parents, bonding over our show. That they finally have this show that they can bond with their parents with. And so for me, that's really touching, and it just shows that how different this show, all the different groups of people that it's hit, and now it means different things to different people. It's a beautiful thing.
That's fantastic. Quick shout out to Rich Ting here, Bolo.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Bolo shirt. What's up, Rich?
Last question, because I think I'm running out of time here, but Brett Chan has been a guest on the show, fight and stunt coordinator. He's not here, so tell me, how much do you guys hate him on training days? You can be honest.
I mean, season 1 was a bit of a rough ride, but I think once that trust and brotherhood was kind of formed throughout kind of season 1, and that he knew, because a lot of actors don't want to put in the work, it's just the fact. I've been on a fair few jobs now. They get their stunt doubles, and they'll find a way to shoot it to make them look good. But I think Warrior, pretty much, I've been blown away by how much everyone's just like, they'll put in the work, and they'll really want to be and learn and all that stuff. So I think once that shifted to season 1, it's been all love, man. Like he'll push us, help us find, and I think a good trainer or teacher or what have you pushes you, and I think that so I really don't feel that anymore. Like he'll keep pushing you, and I like that. I like go hard, go home,
And I bring that up because yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, Brett is a huge reason why Warrior is Warrior. And I'll say that straight up. We couldn't have done it without him. He's such an integral part of this. So I have a love for him, and I also hate him on training days.
And I bring that up, Jason, just because I remember a picture that you posted once where you're staring into like a container with like a piece of celery and like a slice of chicken or something, and there's just a sad look on your face.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was miserable. So that particular photo that you're talking about was taken right after I finished my Chinatown fight scene from the episode Enter the Dragon, season 2, episode 9. And I was completely shattered and exhausted. What I needed at that moment was a cheesecake or something, but but it is what it is.
That's fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. I hope more fans pick up and understand what a great show Warrior is, and that you get season 4 and beyond. And best of luck to all you guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
In this next grouping, I got to talk with some of the movers and shakers in the series: Perry Young, Olivia Cheng, and Miranda Raisin. Hey, how are you, Perry? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you.
Oh, and a quick shout out to Rich Ting here.
Hello.
Should have worn my Bolo shirt.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but guys, thank you so much for talking. When I try to describe the show as a Bruce Lee inspired series to new fans, the guy audience is pretty much on board, like built in. But some of the biggest shakers and movers on this show are the females, the women on the show. Strong, deep, complex, amazing stories. The female audience needs to get on board and support this show just for the female representation. Strong, intelligent, devious women with rich stories. And I was telling the other guys, I feel like I could take all of you individual characters out of the Warrior universe and want to follow your stories, because you guys have brought them to life so well, and you're just so well crafted. What would you guys say to the female viewers out there to get them on board with Warrior?
I would say come on board because you're going to see women who are incredibly layered and complex. I think you're going to see women who survive with their smarts, with their tenacity, with their resilience, and really find autonomy and agency within systems that are purposefully designed to hold them down. So I think at one point or another, women will see themselves in our characters because you will relate to both our flaws and you will relate to that feeling of overcoming, and there will be cathartic moments where in that overcoming you see a woman shine and succeed in her love and support of other women. I think there will be a lot in there that at first women might go, I don't know about this, but if they follow along, I think there's plenty in there for them to go, I had no idea, and this really surprised me, and I recognize the truth of what they're trying to say through these storylines and characters.
And there's a strong, the same sex relationship, with which is so unusual for them. I mean, it wasn't unusual for the period in real time, but to be portrayed on screen, that's had quite which I'm sure Olivia has sort of heard as well. It's had a strong following from female gay audiences supporting that storyline and being thankful for it in the midst of seeing these extraordinary, Mai Ling and these extraordinary women, Artoy, battling in a world which is already keeping them down for many other reasons.
I just want to point out that Miranda and I both play characters who are based on real women, who are fictionalized versions of real women. So for the history buffs out there, for the history nerds out there, hopefully our portrayals and fictionalized characters could become Easter eggs for the audience to understand that we represent real women in this particular time.
Yeah, I was going to say they are historical characters based on historical characters, strong women. But it's funny from my world, there's a lot, if not more than female fans. I get a lot of interviews from actually women podcasters asking about it. And I think I met someone in person recently who said something about getting her husband to watch Warrior with her. So I mean, I think there's a lot of women and women who are on the Facebook, for example, Facebook Warrior group, which is huge. There's a lot of women who are actually admins of the group and who comment often and who post, content often about Bruce Lee. They just love Bruce Lee, right? So yeah, I don't know if there's, women are the deficit of our fans. I think there might be more women who actually.
Oh, nice. Well, the show is so relevant to a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world. You guys touched on it. Race, class warfare, LGBTQ issues, all without being preachy or heavy-handed. When did you guys realize that you're part of a show whose impact may be more than just great entertainment?
I joined series 2, so I'll let you guys answer this one.
Oh, you can definitely answer it from your perspective, Nelly. Go for it. I mean, Miranda, go for it.
Well, from my point of view, I mean, I was spoiled. I had the first season to watch. I came on board. I'm not going to pretend that I was hard to get. I was there, and Jonathan Tripper gave me an interview, which they call it, which I think I'm allowed to say, he does arsehole screening, which sounds very menacing, but it's really just to have a chat with you when they want to offer you the role. And so before I went out to Cape Town, I got to watch season 1, and it was just absolutely blew me away, and wasn't like anything I'd ever seen. And that was extraordinary. I've joined series before in, a second or third season, and it's always there it's nice to be there at the inception. But, it was, I knew I was joining something that I'd never seen on television.
And I think in this group, Perry and I really put us together because we are two of the most out front activists on the cast. And, I think we've always known that this story was very topical and hit on so many themes that are relevant today. Unfortunately, after the pandemic, we really realized how eerily relevant the themes in our show are relevant today, and not just for our community, but for other communities who are going through xenophobia, other communities that are going through police brutality, other communities that are going through what it means to be economically marginalized. So, I wish we could say that our show wasn't as relevant as it is in terms of politically and socially, but here we are.
Taking off from what Miranda just said about, I've never seen anything like this on television before. Absolutely. When I read the first script or when I read the sides to audition for, I went, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this on television." And the role that I was auditioning for fit me in real life. It's even though it's it's a character that's the notorious leader of the notorious Tong in Chinatown. He's fighting for social change. He's an activist.
yeah.
That's what I do in real life. An artist activist. So I thought that's my character. This is the moment where we could actually do activism through television, through entertainment and art, and not, like you said, preach to the choir or whatever it is, the strong arm people into thinking something. It's through, slow empathy and through art that we learn about other people and hopefully shift things in our culture.
Fantastic. I think it's going to be the last question for me because I think I'm running out of time. But what does it mean to you all to be such an integral part of the Bruce Lee legacy, particularly in terms of being able to show up for representation for Asians and for the marginalized communities out there? So what does that feel like to be part of Bruce Lee's entire mythos?
Harry, you should take this one, and if there's time, we'll jump in.
Yeah, so I was born in Oakland, California, where Brandon Lee was born and where Bruce Lee had his first studio. Right down the street, it's like MacArthur Broadway area. I was born in a hospital near there, and I heard that Brandon was born in a hospital not far from there. So when we grew up, Bruce Lee was our hero. He had already left by then to Seattle, but it was like he offered us a glimpse of us Chinatown kids as hope that we can do more, we can get out of this world. I never thought in a million years that I would ever be in a show that Bruce Lee conceived of, and even working with his daughter Shannon. I mean, it is inconceivable and beyond dreams. But I pinch myself very often when I'm on set, going, "I can't believe I'm here." So it's just beyond my wildest dreams.
And I think right now to see the Bruce Lee family company really pushing into being advocates and educators in terms of raising awareness around youth mental health, that is a legacy that I'm really proud to be a part of, because I think having conversation, dialogue around that now is more important than ever, and to see the Bruce Lee legacy using all its masculine, athletic connotation to also, propel us forward in terms of like philosophy and inner reflection. I'm really stoked to be a part of that.
So that's Miranda. You want to say anything before we go?
I'm so sorry. It's because my thing keeps beeping. I am in awe of everybody involved with this production. Completely in awe of Shannon and very much on the periphery of, and yet heartfelt with the pain that working with these young actresses, not all of them actresses, in the crib brothels. It's an incredibly devastating thing to be, and because they do it so beautifully, they're so beautifully directed, the sets are so extraordinary, with the kind of fog and the mist, and even though you don't have all those visceral smells for real, when you're in and on, when I was in and on those sets in the crib brothels, it was a side of life that I was completely ignorant of, had never heard anything about, and it's a struggle that I continue to be educated about, and it's an honor to work with everybody on this show.
It was an honor to talk to you guys today. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to all of you guys. Here's to season 4 and then beyond, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Take care, guys. In the final grouping of the day, Joe Taslim had to leave early, but I still got to hang out with Diane Doan and Langley Kirkwood.
Hell yeah.
And this is
When I see you, I gotta go.
Bye, Joe.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Love
Joe.
you.
Sorry, I gotta go first, but I would love to continue. But next time we chat.
All right, take care, Joe.
Chinese New Year in Jakarta already. Gong xi fa cai. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey guys.
Ida.
It's Jeff. Jeff Ida, Kung Fu Driving Podcast. Langley, good to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you again, brother. I'm good.
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time. I don't want to waste your time. So, the Dark Alliance right here in front of me. I love you guys. Talk to me about your characters. When did you realize that the depth and the complexity of your characters and their impact in the world of Warrior? Because I mean, obviously, as an actor, you relish that kind of role. But how involved are you in like helping craft the direction of your characters? Because there's so much in what you guys have brought to your roles. I was telling everybody else I could pick any one of you characters out of the Warrior universe and want to follow your entire story because you guys have done it so well. So, when did you realize that about the characters that you play?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff. I mean, I guess so much of this is the one of the things that we love the most about the show is that it really is an ensemble piece, and it's a truly collaborative experience. And we are so blessed to have writers and creators that embrace that ethos and let us have creative input both into the show and feel it's important for the actors to really bring themselves and parts of themselves to the characters. So I think step one is the casting process is such a big part of the process for that reason. And I think Jonathan and his team from the get-go were able to cast the show with people that they really felt embodied the visions that they had. So there was so much of these characters that was already there on the page when we started shooting the pilot. And one of the reasons why the show works so well is because they really got the casting so spot on. And and we're all able to just dive in to the playpen of this show and just have fun and explore and go wild and not have to think about it too much. So immediately is your question.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think our writers are so brilliant. And for me personally as an actor, I follow what's on the page. I trusted. I mean, we were lucky enough that I felt that I could just trust the writers and not necessarily need to, do the like, well, I don't think my character would say that. But in trusting that the dialogue, it enabled me to and I think everyone else, fully be able to build from that on into our characters. And we have a group of such dedicated, talented, beautiful performers that every time we got into a room with each other, it was just like bouncing off, whether it's ideas or working with those fully fleshed out characters and actors. And it was such a dream for me. I mean, smart actors, and we all brought our A game to this show. I mean, no one was just, everyone just was so fully on board. So I feel like that is like a dream for an actor. Yeah. I don't know if I made any sense.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. A quick shout out to Rich Ting too at Bolo, if you can see him there. So.
Oh my God! Yes. Bring Bolo back. Bring Bolo back.
Diane, let me ask you specifically. I was talking with some of the other ladies. The females in this show, some of the primary movers and shakers in the storyline. Amazing what you guys have done for that. And when you talk about the show to new viewers, you're like, hey, it's a Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee inspired show. That brings the guys on board, not necessarily the females all the time. But if you were to explain how important and how integral the female presence is on this show, what would you tell female viewers to get them on board?
Well, I would just say that it's really the females that run the whole fucking city. Enough said. The men work for us and help support us and lift us up. No, I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to really have a female character written like this for myself to play, in terms of the complexity. And, we're always the damsels in distress. The vulnerability side is there, but the strength, like the real strength in My Ling, in Atoy, in Penny, it's been a real challenge as an actor, to find, the fine line between like being a bitch or, asking for that power and really standing in it. So I feel like everyone gets a little piece of pie in this show. I mean, like you said, the action, the guys can come, it's a sexy show, but there's like real power in these women. And yeah, again, so grateful for the writers and creators who trusted us and gave us that opportunity, because it very easily could have been, a very it is kind of testosterone driven, but a very male driven show. But these women are the pillars of a lot of the businesses and the decision makers. So that's how I pitch it.
Speaking of sexy
it's
males,
our world. The men are just living in it. I'm kidding.
Yeah, and speaking of sexy men, Langley, talk to me about the show itself. It's so topical, relevant to what's going on in the world today, without being preachy or heavy-handed. When did you realize that this show might be more impactful to the audience, beyond just being great entertainment? Or do you even think about that?
Yeah, well, 100% I've thought about it. I was living in the United States when Trump got in 2016, and there's just I suppose the energy in the US in the years that followed, and stuff that rose to the surface, I suppose, where people felt that they suddenly had the freedom or the protection of a leader to let their bigotry rise to the surface, and for them to actually then act on it. I think that was, really something that struck home to me, and the correlation between that and what we see in the show. That it's kind of so resonant. The bigotry that is not just systemic and subtle and layered, but where the world is right now, and I've alluded to it earlier, but the polarization, where you have those with power feeling that they can basically do what they want to those that are not holding the reins of power. And we're seeing it playing out across our world right now in so many places, so many ways. So yeah, there's lots that's relevant. But I don't want to get away from the really juicy, entertaining parts of our show. Well, I don't want it to become a heavy talking point. In terms, there's a lot about the show as well that is light. There's a lot of amazing repartee. There's a lot of amazing kind of very punchy contemporary dialogue. It's a period action drama, but it is very real and very modern in terms of the way that people are represented, the way that people interact, the way that they talk. And I suppose it's about making that historical part of it really accessible to a modern audience. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And this is going to be my last question. I think we're running out of time. But with all of that stuff, with the comedy and the action and the sexiness and the power and representation all over the place, what does it feel like for you guys to be such an integral part now of that Bruce Lee legacy, given what you guys are doing with Warrior?
I mean, I think it's just so important and special to be able to even bring his essence to this new generation. It's not lost on us. It's his 50th anniversary last year of his passing. this year's the year of the dragon. It feels very aligned now, coming onto a new platform, that yeah, we're right where we're supposed to be, and hopefully a new audience can find us and just enjoy more of his essence. Yeah, it's an immense privilege to be able to continue on his legacy with Warrior, and we hope to keep going. You know, you never know with Netflix these days. So yeah.
binge watch all 3 seasons, give it 2 thumbs up, and hopefully we'll get back to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, best of luck on season. The season on Netflix. Hopefully, there's a season 4. Hopefully, we get more.
Best of luck on season 4, man.
Yes, best of luck on season 4. Season 5 and 6 too. Let's make sure we get them all in there. But yeah, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I hope to see much more of Mei Ling and Buckley and all of the great characters on Warriors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Lovely chatting with you.
Good seeing you guys again.
Bye.
Poison Clan rocks the world.